Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is for the avid astronomers um, and those of you who keep a keen eye on astronomy. You'll probably be already aware of this, but nonetheless, this is an event that's historically not happened. It's not been documented ever. Wallahu alam if it has happened, but I'm not aware of it, and I certainly can't seem to find anything to suggest that. But the event is, by any stretch of imagination, a very interesting one, simply because it's referring to the Sirius star, and the Sirius star is at least within Freemasonry known as the blazing star, right? The Canis Major, the dog star. There you go. Yeah, and this is the star that you see between the pillars, right? Of Freemasonry. There you go. It's also known as the Jacob Star, the Star of Jacob, Bethlehem, the Star of Bethlehem, and it's interesting that it plays a central role, and it's analogous, and in terms of symbolism, symbolizes the all-seeing eye as well as Iblis Lanatullah, and then Osiris, and these are all Iblis reinvented right throughout the ages, and it's the same. It's pointing towards the same deity as they would claim in the occult. What's interesting again, and this is for the ulama ikram, and certainly I don't have to remind them of that. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His Kalam mentions, وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ رَبُّ الشِّعْرَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Lord of the Sirius star. Again, as a reason why that's been mentioned in the Kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you'll also be aware that in the time of Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu, whilst the governor in Misr was certainly at angst with the inhabitants there who were, because of their anxiety as a result of the Darya Nil drying up, the River Nile drying up, they would ritually sacrifice a virgin child to the river in order for it to ebb and flow, and that sacrifice would be made out to the Sirius star, which lends to the ancient Egyptian occult doctrines, right? The higher priests there. What's interesting is Freemasonry glean a lot of their doctrines from ancient Egypt, and the Egyptian doctrines there, which interestingly enough would lend into Pharaoh and how he used to claim that he is the Lord, the highest Nauzubillah min Zalik. And that again was all part of this initiation, occult initiation process, in which they ended up believing themselves to be gods, and it was all about the pineal gland, the third eye. And this is where I have certainly archived enough content, and some very specific ones detailing how a Dajjal, and I have mentioned it to those of you who are on the science distribution list, and you'll be intimately aware about it, and that we've postulated that Dajjal, when he reveals himself on the global stage, will most likely claim, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, that origins from the Sirius star system. In other words, they will claim that they are extraterrestrial in origin. At least uh, uh, that's what I understand to be the reality of it all. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Of course, time will reveal itself. What's important, and I guess going back to this incident, is that it's historically not happened. Wallahu alam if it's going to be actual or real. I'm not really sure. I don't know what to make of any of the stuff that the mainstream media peddles these days. But nonetheless, just like these other eclipses, this is again another important astronomical event, even if it's a real one or not, wallahu alam, but they are touting it as a real one. In fact, it's been touted by very major tabloids. There you go, Forbes, the Business Insider, Science Alert, the Weather Channel, all of them are talking about it, and it's happening tomorrow, which is really interesting, to be honest with you, being that tomorrow is the 18th. Again, that's the divisions of three would be six, three scored, right? The number of the beast. Wallahu alam, let's just see. But again, there's sacrifice that's basically um, entwined in all of this. So I am looking out for some sort of a false flag tomorrow. Let's just see what happens. But I did want to draw the attention of our beloved ulama ikram to this. It's certainly a very interesting event, notwithstanding the fact that it ties into at the time of Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu, but more importantly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has um, um, mentioned this star and in the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that He is the Lord of this star. So we should keep a keen eye on anything relating to this system, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not mention anything in His kalam without it having some sort of without it having significance. So subhanallah, anything relating to it has to be something that draws the attention of our learned scholars, and maybe perhaps to remain again muhtad. Let's just see what happens tomorrow. But again, like I said, as I see it, this system is going to play a central role, and it already does in the occult doctrines, but it will play a central role, I think, when a Dajjal Lanatullah reveals himself to the world, and may very well claim origins from this constellation as an extraterrestrial being. Wallahu alam. Jazakallahu khairan wa ahsanul jaza for your time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.